Would you be willing to devote 38 years of your life to pursuing a dream, a goal that you had developed early in life, but through various transitions in your life, various mindsets of your life, you wondered, I don't know that I can do this, but when you are in the presence of others who say in various forms, you can, are you willing to work through whatever challenges you are experiencing to achieve that goal? Listen to a 38-year experience to achieving the lifetime goal that Donene has. Hi there, and thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast. We feature those who are in the process of overcoming or have overcome any type of life encounter, life obstacle that at the time seemed to be almost insurmountable. With this podcast, we have three objectives in mind. Our first objective is we want you to know with a confident resolve you are not alone. We want to work with you. We want you to know there are others who are working with you, who want to help you through whatever you are encountering, and together we will get through whatever you're experiencing.
Our second objective is there are multiple options for any life encounter you are facing. We want to help you develop a resolve that there are various options and solutions to any life dilemma.
Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you're encountering something that was possibly a decision you made sometime in the past, and if you had the opportunity for a life redo, you would make a different decision. We want to help you with those critical thinking skills that can help you make an informed decision and not encounter what you're going through at the moment. We are the Cooper Culture, a veteran-owned business. We work with business personnel and families to develop and sustain connected relationship cultures within their families and organizations. That type organization is one where people feel wanted, appreciated, and genuinely a part of that organization. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty, who is helping me facilitate this podcast. Today we feature Donene Taylor, who became the Women's Professional Rodeo Association World Champion tie-down calf roper in 2016. So she is the quintessential calf roper. And I'm not making light of that at all, but I am saying she tells a story of progressing from age 14, where she had a lot of ideals in mind, to where it was 52 years of age before she overcame a lot of challenges to become who she wanted to be, a goal that's on a journey to becoming even more. But Marty, what are some takeaways our listeners can learn from Donene?
From the first time we met her back in March of 2024, I've just totally loved Donene and her spirit and her tenacity to move forward. I'm going to go after it and I'm going to get it. And she handed out a bracelet that says OMMS. It says to me, obstacles make Marty stronger. In this podcast, she mentioned confidence, and confidence has to come from within. And she teaches how you can have that confidence within yourself, inside. And I think that's great. I hope she expands on that.
And that aspect of confidence did not come quickly. Let me just tell you, if you get in the way of Donene Taylor and she needs to just move you out of the way, very possibly she'll rope you out of the way. She's a mental performance coach and a great coach. Let's listen and learn together. Donene, it's great to have you with us. Our listeners are going to be particularly interested in your life story that is chronicled in the book, The Heart of a Champion. But from Marty's and my perspective, you are the model of tenacity, persistence. You're the person that we can look to say, wow, there's no adversity that kept you from getting to where you want to go, what you want to be. and you traveled as far as you need to. You got with the people you needed to get to achieve the goal you wanted. And quite honestly, you went through, let's say, some mental uh, disappointments. You went through maybe
Yeah.
some heartbreak. You went through all kinds of stuff, but nothing kept you back. Donene, gosh, we're just anxious to hear your story. Great to have you with us.
Oh man, I am beyond delighted to be here with you and Marty. I got the chill bumps, okay? And and hey, if you'll give me just a little bit of grace here because I want to share something
Great.
before we kick this off and you're probably wondering, "Oh Lord, what's she going to say?"
Oh boy, here we
Okay.
go.
Okay. Okay. So I love sharing what I do with my community. And I really believe like my community needs to have a snapshot, a sound bite of who you and Marty are before they start listening to this. And so if you'll just give me just a smidge of time here, because
Sure.
I need my community to know. And in my community, we use the word bad cat a lot, and just how bad cat y'all are. So, so Marty and Ron, they just celebrated inside this last week their 56th wedding anniversary. And this is a power couple. And they call it the Cooper culture. And I mean, if you understand culture, which I mean, it's culture is everything. I talk about in my book the culture of Larry D's ranch down in Texas. Culture is everything, and this is a power couple with just extraordinary culture. And one thing that you need to know, like during this time, Ron served 22 years as as a commander of an F-4 Phantom fighter pilot squadron. And he contributed to a couple books. This is one of them, Single Seat Wisdom, Volume 3. And he shares in there a lot of stories about being a fighter pilot. And my favorite, okay, my favorite is this one. Okay, so Ron is up in the sky and he's flying a mission. And he's flying with a bunch of other fighter pilots. Now, I really don't know what I'm talking about, but I know what I read and I know the pictures in my head. So I'm just going to explain the pictures in my head. He's up in the air. He's flying this mission with all these other buddies. His roommate, who is also fighter pilot in the squadron, he yells with a voice of steel, "Toes." And toes is Ron's tactical call sign. He yells, "Break left." And Ron does. He breaks left. He rotates his 60,000 pound plane like 135 degrees. He banks it at that angle. And just that fast, a Russian heat seeking missile like detonates 500 feet, like a maybe a tick more than a football field directly behind him. And this is the eliteness that this couple has. I mean, with mental performance, if you've worked with me, you know I reference a lot of jet fighter mental performance strategies. They've laid the framework for mental performance, and I appreciate you letting me share that, Ron. But I really wanted my community and yours to know just a snapshot, a little sound bite of what y'all got going on and the history and the experience that you bring as we visit today.
Thank you, Donene. Marty and I really appreciate you sharing that. And Marty and I and you are all about benefiting others through our experiences. And I frequently say it is our evaluated experiences that can benefit others because this is what we came from to get to where we're going to. And the going to is so strong that it will help us overcome whatever it is we're going through. But Donene, you've got an incredible story. Start us off wherever you want and help us through some of the things. And I can already envision this could be multiple episodes just because you have such a powerful life story.
Well, I appreciate that. Man, there's a lot to my story, just like there's a lot to everybody's story. Horses are a big part of my story. I mean, since I was a little girl, 2 years old is when I started riding, and horses have really driven, what I do. They give me a lot of comfort, a lot of joy, and they've also been the vehicle to run down a lot of bold goals. They've helped me meet the people I I've been able to meet, and horses are a big part of it. Um, when I was 14, I wrote down in a notebook. I was babysitting, and I wrote down in a notebook 5 goals. And I'm 14 years old when I write this down. And the first one was I was going to marry Stan. Now Stan was freshman in high school, and man, I just thought he was coolest thing. I just thought he was awesome and cute and all the things. But here's the deal: I wasn't going to date Stan. Okay. I mean, Stan was wild, and I wasn't allowed to date. And there was no way we were going to date, but I wrote it down. I'm going to marry Stan Taylor, Mrs. Stanley Taylor. I wrote that down. And another thing, I really, truly, with all my heart, I wanted to be a world champion in the tie down roping, in the Women's Rodeo Association. And I also wanted to write a book. And I didn't know what kind of book, but a book to help someone, because I had read a really good book, a rodeo type book. And I wanted to be a coach, and I wanted to write a book, and I wanted to perform, compete at the National Finals Rodeo. Then it was in Oklahoma City. Now it's in Las Vegas. So, I mean, those 5 goals, I didn't know at the time, but those 5 goals really drove. They're still driving me, because I've accomplished all of those. I mean, I got Stan married. I won a world title. I wrote a book. I became a coach. I have a successful coaching business, but I haven't competed at the National Finals Rodeo yet. And at 60 years old, I still believe with all my heart that I'm going to do that. I work on it every day, and think about it every day, and get better every day at it.
Let me interject with this point, Donene. When you were 14 years old and you wrote those bold goals, did you doubt it? Did you say, I have no idea if I can, I don't have no idea how I will? Did others doubt whether you could do it? Or and I'm reflecting part of my life. Did it become somewhat of a secret that, well, I'm just not going to tell anybody because I don't want anybody to doubt whether I can achieve this?
Oh man, that is a good question. Nobody's asked me that before. Like, did I share those? And I didn't. I didn't share them. I started to share them, like to win the world, to write a book, to coach, to get to the NFR. I started sharing those probably, if I was to put probably when I was 50. Then I got brave enough to share them. I got brave enough to share them. I probably got it brave enough to share with Stan that I wrote that down when I was 14, when he read my first draft of my book. I never told him that. I never told him I was hoping you and I would get married when I was 14. He read that for the first time when he's reading the author's copy of my book. And so I didn't I kept them really, really close to my heart. I really didn't share them till until it got, down the line. But however, and I knew I was going to do it, but I didn't know when and I didn't know how I was going to do it. But truly at 14, there was no doubt that I was going to run them down.
Now, let me ask you right here. It took you, sounds like several years, maybe a couple of decades,
Decades.
to have the belief, the confidence in yourself. I will, I will. Did you at 14 through whatever age lack some confidence? And was that maybe in hindsight the reason you didn't share your goals with people because you doubted, you didn't want anybody to say, well, Donene, you don't impress me as the kind of person who has the grit to achieve those?
Well, I really didn't want anybody to derail me.
Yep.
I didn't want anybody to tell me you couldn't do it. That's dumb. How you gonna do it? How the, you don't know how to do it. How you gonna do it? You don't know how to do it because I had been told that before on other things.
Right
And
there.
so
That's important, Donene, right there. You've been told before, but here's a very important part I'm going to believe. You tell me if what I'm about to say is correct or not. Your past is not going to define you. There was a time in your life when you doubted, but now you don't.
absolutely. There's just a line or two in my book. Our past doesn't define us. It's there to refine us. And and yeah, and you asked some really great questions. I mean, like first time I've never been asked these before. And yeah, 100%. I had been told like you get told how the heck you gonna do that? You don't know how to do that. Where are you gonna get the money to do that? I remember telling my mom, basically my mom, different things I want to do or I'm gonna do or when I get older. And man, it just in no, not throwing my mom under the bus. I really believe she was telling me what she got told as a young girl. But every time it was like, how you gonna do that? You don't know how to do that. You don't got the money for that. This is what you need to do. And so I mean, as a kid, you get pretty dang smart. And I realized, man, I ain't gonna tell what's on my heart because I don't want to get shut down.
And
So
you,
I kept them really tight.
And that's what our listeners need to hear from you, Donene. You kept things really tight. That's a part of your upbringing. And I use the term frequently being a chain breaker, which I think you are, that you came into the world with an upbringing and you had the just wherewithal, the tenacity to think, no, I will. I'll think through this. I'll think into it. I'll do whatever I need to do to make this happen. Nobody is going to keep you from getting to where you want to go. That's the tenacity that we admire about you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I really do. And yeah, you called me a chain breaker. I am a chain breaker. I'm a generational like cycle, like break those generational, cycles. I have done that. And I've done it with, I mean, it's all in my book, I mean, eating disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder. My mom struggled with those. And my first son, after he was born, I down deep inside, I mean, I had this, epiphany or this spark of like, man, and again, no disrespect to my mom. I mean, I'm sharing freely because it's helped me to come to this point that I am not gonna be my mom.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna parent being eating disordered. I'm not gonna parent, having OCD rule my life. I'm not gonna parent riding that emotional roller coaster. And having my first son, when he was 3 months, that was my first time that I sat down with Julie, and I write about her in my book, and I just love her to pieces, and still visit with her, and she's a confidant, a friend. She's been a game changer in my life. That's the first time I sat down, across the coffee table from her, and started to really do the internal work of overcoming that eating disorder and the OCD, and really peeling back the layers so that I could get down to some core issues that I needed to resolve. And, I worked with Julie, and it also took me not one, but 2 rounds at rehab treatment center, because I ain't a quitter, and to really break free and break that cycle.
Let me unpack that just a little bit further, Donene.
Sure.
Here's what I'm believing you probably had to do. You were a product of, or at least the environment was, eating disorders, some OCDs, and so forth. It appears you made up your mind. I'm not going to be that way, but that's all you knew to a degree. And you made the choice to find someone, and it was Julie, who became, call it a mentor and an inspiration, whatever the term. But at some point, it seems, Donene, you made the choice. I am going to call a lifetime out. I am going to take the right turn, not the left turn, at this juncture in my life. You may use different terms, but that's how I'm processing what you're saying.
Oh, heck yeah, 100%. And I love how you made the T, Ron. You made the timeout sign. Yeah, yeah, it was a timeout. And here's the deal. Like, I told you and Marty, like, how much I love your picture. Like, for overcomers overcoming, the fork in the road picture
Yep.
that y'all picked out. Man, I I mean, when I saw that, I saw it like back in March, we met down in Florida, and then I looked up your podcast. I'm like, man, that is such a cool picture. And what that picture like reminds me of is the Hercules story. If you recall that, like Hercules, like young, the Greek mythology, like Hercules the hero, like he's young man, he's strapping, muscular young man, and good looking Hercules. And he doesn't know where he's wanting to go. He doesn't know, but he comes to that fork in the road, just like y'all's picture. And on one side of the road, um, is this. Oh, and I see things in visuals. I don't know if this is what she looked like, but I see her as kind of a seductive, alluring woman. Okay. And she's like, Hercules, like, you come with me, and I'm gonna give you a life of ease. And you're gonna have everything you want. And you're gonna be happy, no fear, no pain. Oh, it's gonna be a comfortable life. Come with me. And then he sees another good looking lady over here on the other side of the road. But I see her more of like glasses on, kind of a school marm, maybe a scientist of sorts, but nevertheless, good looking gal. And he walks over to her, and she says, Hercules, I can't offer you any of that, but I can offer you, um, man, I can offer you your best life. Your best life. I can offer you being the best version of yourself. I can offer you um a life of where you'll be able to help others and serve others. But Hercules, it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna be difficult, and it's gonna be challenging, but you're gonna learn and you're gonna grow. And eventually you are gonna live out your hero's journey, and it's gonna be your best life. So here's Hercules. He's got to pick which fork of the road to go. Does he pick a life of vice and preference, what he wants right now, or does he pick a life of virtue and principles and values? And we know what he picked. He picked the virtuous life, the principled life, because he is a hero to everyone, in Greek mythology. And Ron, That was me. I hit that fork in the road so many times. And I chose, because you said it's a decision, it's a choice, to the easy way. The easy way. And I think we all keep taking that test over and over and over again until we finally pass that test. But when I finally, and it was like 2011, I finally, I don't know. I don't know. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. Finally chose this other fork, this fork to do something different, to get off of the insanity loop. When I chose like the virtuous road, the principled life, things got so much easier for me. And it was hard to sit with Julie. I mean, that work, it's hard, it's messy, it's uncomfortable, it takes time. But when I chose, like, hey, I am going to live my best life, and I'm a-okay with it being hard, messy, difficult, it taking time. When I made that decision, like you said, it is a choice, it's a decision. Everything changed for me.
And here's what
Everything.
I'm believing you're saying, Donene. At 14, your love of horses, I'm going to say, and I'm not going to use the right terms possibly, but your love of horses included calf roping.
Mhm.
And that's what I want to do. And yep, you incurred some doubts, and but you made that decision with Julie, and you chose the life of fulfillment. You knew, irrespective of how long it will take, that the road to fulfillment is going to be the harder road to take. It's going to take longer to get there, but I just suspect you knew intuitively, and you may not use the terms I'm using, but the totally fulfilled life includes whatever I, Donene, need to do to learn this calf roping and become the champion that you are now. But it took several years for this to happen, and you had to go through a lot of disappointing times. That didn't work, that didn't work, and that didn't work. But you were getting coaching that said, okay, I'll change my ways, do whatever I need to do to get to where I want to go.
Yeah, and we'll put a little perspective in it on it. I mean, I wrote the goals at 14. I probably had the eating disorder, the OCD tendencies since I was 8. I sat down with Julie when I was 30. I went to rehab when I was 38 the first time, 40 the second time. I won the world when I was 52, got the world title, won at 52. I mean, I used to say, I mean, a long time ago, I used to say, man, I'll do whatever it takes to win the world. I just do whatever it takes. I mean, if that meant running 20 miles a day, or if that meant, doing this or doing that, heck, I truly had the mindset. If you could have offered me the pill that would allow me to win the world, here's this pill. It's going to take 15, 20 years off your life, but you take this pill and you'll win the world. Ron and Marty, I would have done it. That's
Mhm.
how upside down, inside out my mindset was. Okay. And I had the wrong mindset. It's not I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do anything. Hey, it's I will do what it takes. And and that meant get healthy. That meant get that inner circle built of people that can help you, get some coaching, get some help. That meant get positive, get addicted to that positivity. That meant you must get outside your comfort zone. You must get outside your comfort zone to do it. It meant to ask for help. It meant to commit and stay committed. It took a lot there. And I was looking so much outside of myself. I'll do this, I'll do that, outside of myself to get what I wanted. And I really needed to flip the script and look inside of myself. For me, it was like, what do I need to have? What do I need to have? What do I need to have so I can go get that world title one? What do I need to have?
And what I'm
And
hearing, Donene, is you're describing a 38-year journey of progress. Every year, maybe a little bit of progress, or who knows, maybe 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or some kind of analogy like that. But it was 38 years that you eventually had the mindset, or at least you were willing to go through whatever amount of time it took to get to where you knew would be totally satisfying, fulfilling, to get to where you want to be. I can think of any number of people who said 38 years, you're kidding me. There's no way. 52 years old when I became the champion. Holy smokes, man. If you can't do it when you're, what, 35, 38, then, man, you're well past whatever the prime of your life is for calf roping.
Yeah, yeah, you got it. You got it. And I'll tell you, that the spark. I mean, I've had a lot of sparks, and I've done a lot of unpacking. And you know, my first son, Hunter, he was the catalyst. He was the spark to go work with Julie. And then, fast forward, I mean, 17 years later, Hunter's 17, and he wants to start bull riding. Okay. He wants to, and I'm like, oh Lord, like, okay. I mean, y'all know, like bull riding, like it's not if you're gonna get hurt, it's when you get hurt. And I'm a mom, but I really work to do right by my kids. And I'm like, all right, but I'm picking the school, I'm picking the instructor, and I picked Lyle Sankey, and I knew Lyle, didn't know him personally, but knew of him. And I knew he was the best guy. And so we go to Lyle's school, his bull riding school, and Hunter's there, and Lyle, he's awesome. And man, he's one of just a handful of pro rodeo cowboys who've been to the NFR in the bull riding, the bareback riding, and the saddle bronc riding. Like there's just a handful, like maybe five. I don't even know if it's five. A handful of those pro cowboys go to the NFR in all three of those events. And we get there, and he's got all the participants that are going to be in this school on the bleachers. I'm over here on the side, and he asked them all. And there's all guys. It's not like girls don't do it. Girls do go to his schools, but there's all guys at this particular one in Kansas. And he asked them all, does anybody know here the definition of insanity? And this is in 2011. So insanity, now you hear it all the time. It seems like I hear it all the time. And nobody raises their hand. Nobody knows the definition of insanity. And I'm taking notes for my kid because, Marty, I know my kid's not going to take no notes. Okay. and I'm scared, just scared. And I'm just like, I'm writing it all down. We're going to remember all of this stuff. And so I write down definition of insanity. Nobody raises their hand. Lyle says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. And as I'm writing down that definition, I'm like, holy cow, like, that's me. Like, I got that big light bulb comes on, self-awareness. I'm doing insanity. I'm showing up every year thinking this is the year I'm going to win it, but keep doing the same thing as I did the years and years and years before. And so I circle that and exit. And when I come back home, I look back at this and I'm like, all right, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? It was all about what do I got to have? And now I'm thinking differently. What do I need to do? And I'm like, I need to get off of this insanity loop. And I'm going to start performance journaling. I'm going to start recognizing patterns, and I'm going to start really looking at what I'm doing well and what I can do better and how I can do it differently and what am I learning and what am I changing and devising a plan, just a lot of reflection, a lot of performance journaling. So I start to do that. And then 3 months later, just like that fast, I'm at a rodeo and I win second in the tie down roping. And I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I'm just saying, like, I'm thinking, man, things are really starting to gel for me and my little horse Todd. And here comes walking over to my trailer, and Todd and me, the girl's dad who won it. And she won the tie down. I won second in the tie down. And I see her dad walking over, and he walks right up and he tells me, not everybody can be a world champion. And, you know, your little horse is all right, but he's not going to be good enough. And folks like you just do this stuff for fun. And I'm hearing him. I'm kind of thinking, is there a punchline to it? Like, and the joke is, there was no joke. Okay. And I start tearing up, and I know I'm tearing up, and I'm thinking, man, don't you dare cry in front of this guy. And he just keeps going on and on and on. And finally he takes a breath, and I tell him, I say, man, it was nice talking to you, but I need to get my little horse put away, and I need to head home. It's 7 hours to get back home. And so he leaves, and he gets down there a ways. I can see it. And man, the floodgates open, and I start crying, and the snot starts rolling out of my nose, and the whole thing. And I get all my things put away, and I'm like, I'm just flabbergasted. I mean, I can't, why, I just don't even know where that come from. And so finally I kind of get my things together inside, and I call my husband, and I didn't have it together. and I tell him what just happened. And he had some choice words for that guy. And my husband says, you will be a world champion. And it's 7 hour drive home. And man, I'm going through all the emotions. I'm mad. I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm just, and then I finally get to the point, you know, I'm not quite home yet, but I get to the point where, man, how bad do I want to win this thing? You know, it got me thinking a little differently. And I got to thinking, man, I really want to win this thing bad. Really, really want to win it bad. And I got to the place to where, you know, I'm grateful for that guy, because he really got me thinking differently. And then I started asking myself a different question. Who do I need to be? Who do I need to become to win a world title, to win that world title? Who do I need to be? And before, I mean, I just reiterating, what do I need to have? That's all I cared about. Have. And then it shifted to, what do I need to do? But the clincher for me was the inside work. Who do I need to become to win a world title?
And I think that's a very key point right there, Donene. A lot of what you're saying is, to use somewhat of a cliche, it's an inside story with you, with all of us, that we need to change the way we think. And when we are surrounded by, or when we choose to be with those who inspire us to overcome whatever challenges, adversity, encounters we are encountering, those people inspire us something to the effect, you can, because you're in pursuit of a worthwhile goal. In your case, you had the Julies of the world, you had the Stans, you had a very supportive husband, family. You had, in some ways, it seemed you had everything going for you. When I say everything, from the, I'm sorry, Mark, from the environment, you had a very supportive environment, but internally, you had to overcome a lot of stuff. What do you think, Marty?
Well, I was thinking when you were saying that, it was very, very good. Your inside, you've got to believe on the inside in yourself.
Yeah.
A deep, I am worth it. I am worth it.
100%, 100%. And the whole confidence work, I mean, was a big part of it. And, you know, I get to coach just some amazing folks, and and we all are much more alike than we are different. And confidence is something that I believe everyone, I don't care what you've accomplished or what you're capable of accomplishing, everyone, and I say that with conviction, at some point or another must or wants to or gets to, come to that resolve of how to show up confidently. And what I've noticed for, and I'm speaking to my own life, but then I also got thousands of other folks that I've helped. Like, when we're looking outside of ourselves to fill that confidence fuel tank, and I really believe that every single one of us has a confidence fuel tank. And you might be wondering, well, where does that confidence fuel tank, where's it at in our body? I believe it's over here next to our heart, because it takes courage to show up confidently. I don't care who you are. It takes, and the heart's a big part of where your courage comes from. And it sits over here. And if you're looking outside of yourself to fill that tank, your tank's going to be half full or less most of the time. And a lot of things that people look for as fuel to fill that confidence fuel tank, it's results. They're looking for, when I get the results I want, then I'll be confident. When I win, I'll be confident. When I get that job, I'll be confident. When I make that much money, then my confidence fuel tank, it'll be full. Or folks look to other people to fill their confidence fuel tank. When other people say, "Hey, good job, man, you're looking good. I like the work you're doing." When you get other people to affirm what you're doing, of course, that fills your confidence fuel tank. Of course, results fill your confidence fuel tank. But let me ask y'all, can y'all control your results?
And the answer to that is no. And
right.
Donene, you're right on target.
And here's okay. And can you control other
Yep.
people telling you, "Good job, Ron. Fantastic work, Marty"? Can you control what other people, when they give you an affirmation?
No, of course not.
No, because if you could control that, you would rule the world.
Yep.
If you could control other people. And here's the thing, are those things fuel for your fuel tank? Heck yeah, it's fuel, but it's real average fuel.
Yep.
It comes and it goes. But when you can start filling your confidence fuel tank with high octane fuel, that is how you keep that fuel tank filled to the rim, filled to the top. Every time that we do what we say we're going to do, that's high octane fuel for our fuel tank. And I know you and Marty, you do what you say you're going to do. I mean, y'all said, "Hey, I'm going to be on this call here with you, Donene, at this time," and you showed up. You did what you said you're going to do. And we've done other things together. And we've both showed up. We've done what we said we're going to do. And every time you and I do what we're going to say, what we say we're going to do for each other, we're building trust.
Yep.
With one another. And trust builds confidence. I have confidence you do what you say you're going to do. You have confidence in me that I do what I say I'm going to do. But when you flip that and you start doing what you say you're going to do for yourself, "Hey, I'm working out 3 times this week," and you do that, you're building trust and confidence with yourself. Every time you're like, "Hey, I'm not going to scroll on that phone. I'm not going to waste my time on that phone." We do what we say we're going to do. That's building trust and confidence with yourself. When you say, "I'm going to have my rear in this chair and I'm going to do this work at this time," and you do it, you're building trust and confidence with yourself. That's high octane fuel. Every time you celebrate your strengths, every time you work on your needs works, every time you've used the word intuitive a lot, every time you follow your intuition, your intuitiveness, you follow your gut, you fill that confidence fuel tank with high octane fuel.
I'm going to add
Every time
another.
you get better.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that is high octane fuel. And I really don't think folks see that as that's how you get to be, that's how you keep that tank full.
Yep. And I'm going to use another term. Some people don't like the term discipline because it sounds so military, but yet, Donene, I'm interpreting what you're saying is, yeah, you have control over whether you live a disciplined life. You have control over what time you get up. You have control over what time you go to bed. You have control over what you read, listen to, and so forth. And when you lead the disciplined lifestyle to become who you want to be, you fill in the blanks with, okay, to be who I want to be, I know what I need to do. And the term I in this case is you have control over it, and you're responsible to yourself for doing those things. That's how I'm interpreting what you're saying. What do you think, Marty?
I want to say I really appreciate your analogy of how each one of us, fill our fuel tank up ourselves, because I think if we just keep on relying, as you said, on other people, like you said, the fuel tank goes down. And I think you have such a better feeling about yourself if you realize this is how I do it. I do it myself. I fill my fuel tank myself. If I say I'm going to do it, I do it.
Wow. Yeah, you nailed it, Marty. You nailed it. This whole confidence thing, it's a you and you deal. It's an inside job. And results and other people telling us great work, good job. Heck yeah, that's fuel. But it's not going to be enough. It's just not going to be enough. I appreciate you sharing that. It is an inside job. You're responsible for it. You when you take responsibility of your life, this is something that I really helped me a lot. And again, not throwing my folks under the bus. I mean, it's just how I grew up, and I really believe they just, if I can't even explain it. I mean, I don't know why they were like this way, but there was a lot of, I call it BCDE. There was a lot of blaming, a lot of complaining, a lot of being defensive, not coachable. You didn't ask for help. If you can't do it yourself, you just don't do it. A lot of making excuses. Okay, man, I didn't, I knew that was sideways. I knew that wasn't right. But yet again, it's your parents, right? And you want to trust your parents. But when I finally understood that I need to own 100% of everything in my life, no BCDE, because when I own 100% of everything in my life, then I can change it. When I own it, I can change it. I'm not giving my power away to blaming this, that, or the other, to complaining, to making excuses about other people, my horse, the calf, the rodeo, when I can own everything, my life changed, because then I had the power. I was empowered. My oldest hunter, I was explaining this to him. He was young. He was probably 17, 18 years old. And now he's living his best life. He's 30 now. But I'm explaining this to Hunter. And I'm like, Hunter, if I was crossing a crosswalk and I got mowed down, somebody mowed me down in a vehicle, hit me, I said, I would own 100% of that. He's like, what? They hit you in the crosswalk? Like, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, whatever. If I got put in a wheelchair, if it mangled me bad, whatever. I'm like, I would own 100% of that, because when I own 100% of my position in that, then Hunter, I have control of what happens next. I control how I respond to it. I control how I get better from it. I control how I move on. I control how I forgive that person. Hunter, maybe I was looking at my phone. You want to own everything. And I think he got it. eventually. But you know, that kind is a hard pill to swallow. But that's we all have perspective. You know, perspective, what's so cool about perspective is y'all have your perspective, I have my perspective. It's how we see ourselves, our situation, our world. And perspective is super powerful.
What is your life perspective? You may have been raised in an environment, a family culture, that is something to the effect, just get over yourself. We don't talk about adversity. We don't do and then fill in the blank with whatever. Just live with it. We don't discuss it. But deep inside of you, you have something that says, I'm not sure I can do this on my own. I'm not owning my life. I don't have that perspective. I might be the type person who seeks other people's approval, and through that approval, I define who I am. You are a perspective for coaching. Donene, Marty, and I can help you with the coaching through various life experiences to help you become your very best potential. It is many times us inwardly not being the captain of our lives that keep us from achieving our greatest potential. Contact Donene, contact me, contact Marty. Let's get together. Let's help you be the person God created you to be to achieve your very best potential. So many times we are the obstacle to achieving our very best. Let's work together. Let's help you become the person you were created to be. It
It's
is.
a superpower.
Donene, I want to ask you, even while we're recording, would you consider coming back for another episode? Our listeners need to learn more from you, mental performance coaching. They may be thinking right at this point, but Donene, you're describing what I'm coming from. That's the environment of blaming and not taking responsibility for, et cetera, and so on. And they need to hear from you. How can we turn that around? How can we develop a different mindset? Your past is not going to carry you forward except by your choice. You can make the decision to take the lifetime out, as we talked about early on, and make a different decision, which you did. And you traveled many, thousands of miles to make you the better person you chose to be to get to where you wanted to get. You just said, yep, I will. And our listeners need to know more about that because they don't have the courage. They don't have the willpower that perhaps it took you 38 years to develop. But our listeners need to know about that, and they need to hear from you, a mental performance coach. I'm going to put you on the spot, Donene. Would you consider coming back to tell our listeners how to do this?
Well, I love to sit with you and Marty. I love to sit down and see y'all. Absolutely. But here's the thing. I really think that your listeners, you know, everybody I work with, I mean, y'all, me, I really think we do have those things already inside of you. It's just, it's really tapping into it. I'm really with the belief that everybody has what they need already inside of them.
And what
everybody has it.
And what you can help us with maybe is how do we nurture that to make it more powerful, those attributes in our life.
Absolutely. And hey, it for me, it was really, you know, I tell this story quite a bit. And this story, it's in the book, and I know y'all read the book, but it's and I know the date. That's what's so fun about it is it's January 29th, 2015. And I mean, that's how pivotal this whole day is. I mean, if you're to say what was the most pivotal day, you know, of your, you know, pick 3 to 5, I mean, this would be one of them. And I'm down in Abilene, Texas with Larry D. Guy and Hope Thompson. And, before I come down there, I'm like, I asked Larry D., over the phone, like, hey, I bought this little horse Chester from her and Trevor Brazil. And I'm like, hey, can I come down for a couple days and you tune up Chester? Like you make Chester better. Because I tell her, like, Chester's not working like he was working when I bought him and took him home. Like something's wrong with him. Like you need to help me fix him. And she's like, yeah, I'll tune him up for you. Bring him down. And so I come down there, and the first lesson, inside the first 10 minutes of the first day, we're doing a little drill. And it's her, Larry D's on a horse, Hope's on a horse, I'm on Chester. We're just taking turns trotting up to this stationary roping dummy and roping it. And we're all taking a turn. We've all went about 3 times. And then it's my turn, and Larry D's sitting up at the front of the dummy so she's watching me, she's giving me the lesson. And I trot up there, and I let Chester kind of fade off to the right, and I miss. And she's standing over there, and she's like, I'm not tuning up Chester for you because you'll just mess him up again. Oh my gosh. And that was a jolt. I'm coiling up my rope, and I looking at her, and I'm tearing up. Like that fast. Like I'm teared up because that's why I come down there. It's like 18 hours to her house from my house. And I say, Larry D., I said, that hurts my heart. That's why I come down here. And she don't say anything. She just looking at me. And I say, okay. I said, I'll do better. And we keep going. And as we're going, Larry D saying, Donene, you are the captain of Chester. You are the captain of Chester. She's telling it just over and over. And finally, I'm saying it to myself, I'm the captain of Chester. And that whole day of roping the dummy, roping the sled, roping live cattle, pen roping, all the things, was one of the best training days I've ever had. And I was the captain of Chester. It was awesome.
Yep.
And then that night we go and eat dinner, and there's more to the story there in the book of what happens. But fast forward to it's just me and Larry D sitting in her living room. And everybody else is left. They went to town to go do some things, and it's just me and Larry D. And I'm sharing with Larry D. And I say, Larry D., I've wanted to win this world title since I was 14. And I tell her, like, how many times it's just slipped through my fingers. Like, Larry D., I've been 5th, I've been 4th, I've been 3rd. I just haven't got it won. And Larry D., she looks at me and she says, why is it taking you so long? And I say, Larry D., no one's ever asked me that before. And then it was quiet. It was that uncomfortable silence. And I'm thinking about it. And it seemed like quite a while. And I look up at her and I say, Larry D., the reason it's taken me so long is because I haven't been the captain of my own life.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pivotal moment, because the most influential, important person you will ever lead is yourself. And leadership is a commitment that you make to yourself. And for so long, I was wanting people just to tell me what to do, what road to take, what road to use, how long to do this. How do I do this? Is this a good idea? I put so much emphasis on what other people thought and what they thought, the opinion that they had. I had so much emphasis on that and very little emphasis on what Donene needed and what she wanted and what she thought. and what her guts and intuition were telling her. That was a big part for me, was figuring out I'm going to lead myself. I'm going to be the captain of my own life. That was the start. I mean, you asked how do we do that? That was probably the most pivotal point for me to really start to catch some momentum in all of these things.
And I'm guessing that took maybe many hours, maybe even several days of introspection. What do I need to be the captain of my life? And I'm going to use the term again. What is the discipline I need to develop to do what I need to do? Does that somewhat accurately characterize the thought process you went through?
Yeah, and I'm still in it. I mean, every day I'm making strong decisions, strong choices. I mean, every day we all are. Every day we get to decide, am I gonna do this, or am I gonna do that? Am I gonna live on preference today? What feels good, what's easy, what I want to do, or am I gonna live by principle? What I want to do that'll get me what I really want in life. Am I gonna live a valued life, a principled life, a core valued life, a virtuous life? Am I gonna do the things that'll get me what I want 5 years down the line? I mean, it's that fork in the road. That's why I just love your picture. I mean, it truly is. Every day we're at that fork. We get to choose.
In a net context, Donene, I think our listeners would benefit tremendously by unpacking more what is required to be the captain of your life. And you've experienced a lot of that, but it was not an overnight decision, and it took a while to get there. And we are all on that growth journey, but we understand what it is to be captain of our lives, and others need to do just that. Would it be possible to have you come back for another episode to talk more about becoming the captain of your life?
Oh, I'd be delighted, Ron and Marty.
Donene, you are the queen of this topic, and I don't mean that in any pejorative sense or
You're awesome.
any sexist sense. I mean, you just have the mindset that others need to know you can. And you're very eloquent in saying you've got the attributes inside of you. You just need to develop them a little more. And I believe that's what mental performance coaching is a lot about. We can help develop those traits that are in you and make them stronger.
Y'all are wonderful. Y'all are delightful. What a privilege to get to sit down with y'all for a little bit. I appreciate
Donene,
it.
thank you so much for sharing just a part of your life. We look forward to coming back and sharing more.
Well, Donene,
Thanks,
it's been
Ron.
a joy for us to have you on.
You're very
Aw.
special.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Ron.
We appreciate having the opportunity to share our and our guests' life's experiences with you.
The Cooper culture advances organizations to achieve and sustain high retention rates, connected communication, and trust through personality insights and principled leadership. You can contact us at our website, thecooperculture.com, and you can contact us directly at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at thecooperculture.com. We work with you to help assess aspects of your culture to advance the environment and people to their best performance. We do that through our staff of certified personal performance coaches, leadership trainers, keynote speakers, and DISC personality behavior experts. You can book a speaking engagement directly through our website by contacting us at ron@thecooperculture.com. We look forward to sharing our life experiences with you, some of which are profound, some of which are pretty funny. Some of those life experiences are ones we'll never do that again because we've been through stuff. We truly look forward to working with you, speaking with you, helping advance you in any way that we can.